According to protocol, my first speech duty is to ensure that certain people are thanked for their part in the wedding today. So I'd like to start with a couple of people who I think have had it quite easy today actually. All they've had to do is stand around, pouting and looking pretty. But it is worth saying that they spent a lot of time on their hair and their makeup and their outfits. Ladies and gentlemen, can I say just a big thank you to the ushers, Tom Crow.
I never saw that coming at all, Wilson. Got a telegram from...
I'd like to say how beautiful all the bridesmaids look today. They're really stunning. And I know there's a couple of lads here on my left-hand side. They really are. They're wonderful dancers. They've been studying the form and not Strictly Come Dancing, and they're just mad to get dancing with you later on. Okay? Diana, you two look fabulous today. And I think it's very important to let everybody know from your side of the family what sort of man their daughter has married. So I'll start with the day that Fintan was hatched. Now, I wouldn't say he was an ugly baby, but breech plague only had morning sickness after he was born. When I first met Fintan's family, the one thing that became really apparent or really clear straight away was that Fintan was very, very different from the rest of the family members. Now, for those of you who know the Blake family, you'll know that Cian and Garrett are desperate wild men. Fintan, on the other hand, he's shy. He's polite. And he's very, very unopinionated. He's also very well known for his sprightly moods, especially first thing in the morning. His mom says that whenever he was at school, he was very good at his schoolwork, but his favourite subject was sums. So it came as no surprise that he ended up in Trinity College, where he spent a whole 4 years just studying sums. It was much the same when he first moved to England. He was much too shy to live in the big smoke, to live in London with the rest of us. Instead, he preferred to live about 50 miles to the west of London in a city called Maidenhead, which we nicknamed the Dead because it was so quiet. There's going to be a special mention for Noel Murphy here. The rest of the lads, we used to party pretty hard on the weekends. Frequent the bars around Clapham, and especially this place called the Swan. But did you know that every Friday night we had to ring Fintan up and practically beg him to come into London for the Friday night?
Yeah.
He always put up such a big fight about coming into the city on a Friday night.
Number 2.
Fintan has always fancied himself as a bit of a singer over the years. He's often referred to himself as being the 5th member of Westlife. He also maintained that he was the double of Ronan Keating. Can you see the resemblance? And mostly when he was drunk, he and Keelan Doniger over here would belt into a rendition of and murder that song, When You Say Nothing at All. This often happened when we'd be travelling on the tube in London or in a taxi, and it wouldn't be long until people would be begging the talentless Irish kid to sit down and shut up. I suppose now that you're married, you and Diana would probably be thinking about having a family at some stage. I would warn you, Diana, that he needs a lot of training if he's going to be left in charge of children. A few years ago, I left him and Donald Murphy in charge of my Cocker Spaniel, Jack. They firstly exploited Jack in the park to get attention of the ladies.
What do you mean by exploited?
They also thought it would be funny to teach him bad habits, so they got him walking and eating off the dining room table. I think though worst of all was when Finton brought Jack for a walk. And as dogs do after walking for a short bit, Jack needed to go to the toilet. So Finton allowed Jack to leave a nice parcel in front of someone's driveway. Just at this stage, there was a woman walking on the opposite side of the street. So instead of doing the proper thing and scooping off the poop off this person's driveway, Finton hauls Jack along by the lead and shouts over at the lady, "He's not my dog!" However, Finton, if you decide to get a dog at some stage, and maybe to get warmed up for fatherhood, I would be careful of the breed and the size of the dog that you get, judging on one of Diana's experiences here in Sligo. Finton was playing squash in the local club, and Diana, I don't think she could take watching him get whipped anymore, probably by his sister Ashley. So she went for a walk around the local area. Now, bear in mind, Diana loves animals and she's always talking about getting a dog. But in between games, Finton checks his phone and he realises that he's got 8 missed calls from her. So he calls her back and she's in a bit of a state and has apparently been attacked by a dog and is afraid. So he jumps in the car, still in his kit, and he bombs down the road. And he finds her all alone, sort of sitting on the side of the road. And when he goes over, all of a sudden this little Jack Russell, about 6 inches high, comes around the corner just barking his little head off. This is the killer dog that is attacking. I guess most of you guys know at this stage that Finton's a very good squash player, but I guess what you might know is that he's an excellent stunt cyclist as well. I came back out from a night out 7 or 8 years ago and found Finton up to no good in the house. He was at the top of the stairs on a bike, threatening to ride down it. Now, we were all, myself and the lads, were looking at him and
stolen bike.
You know, he thought this was a good idea and we just knew it wasn't because he could really hurt himself. But we thought it was much too funny not to allow him to. So, after a little encouragement, we sent him on, and down the stairs he went, somersaulted halfway down, and landed flat on his back, laughing. He was very drunk. It was one thing that stands out in my mind as a crazy thing to do. That the most uncoordinated, gangly one of us had attempted this. Well done, Blakey. I'm glad you didn't do any permanent damage to yourself there, right? I would have felt a bit guilty about that one. I've known Finton for over 10 years now, and I've seen him change a lot over those years. There's no doubt that he enjoyed his younger days to the full and had a great time. More recently, though, he's become a lot more sensible and settled. I thought it would never happen. Throughout this time, he's always been a good friend to me and helped me through some tough times in the past. And we've always been fortunate to have a very close-knit group of friends around us. I'm really pleased that him and Diana have found happiness together. I know it was very tough at times, especially with him in Atlanta and her in London. But I think if you can keep it going across an ocean, then you should be able to cope with his grumpy moods in the future. So at this stage, I'd like to finish, because I know that Finton's dying to buy you all a drink at the bar. Ladies and gentlemen, could you please raise your glasses for Mr. and Mrs. Blake.